This isn't a normal button, it's a sci-fi hover effect, built entirely in Figma. Just in 8 minutes you'll know how to build the same. First of all, let's create a rectangle. The size will be 360 by 100. The second thing is, let's give it rounded corners. This will be our base layer for the button. I will give it outside stroke. It will be dark and it will be not 1 pixel but very tiny 0.5. Then let's give our button a gradient fill. And the final part here is to give it a drop shadow effect. So we go to Effects, Drop Shadow, and it will be a complex drop shadow consisting of 3 different shadows. The first one will have Y of 20, blur of 40 and 15%. The color is black, this is fine. The second drop shadow will look like this: 8, 12 and 20. And the last drop shadow will have these parameters: 40, 40 and opacity of 8%. Let's rename it to BG, stands for background, and let's duplicate this layer with Command D. This will be our inner stroke layer. Let's give it the stroke of 3 pixels inside, and it will be the linear gradient with 3 colors. Alright, cool. We'll call this layer stroke, and we'll need one more layer here. It won't have any drop shadow. It will have a simple gray fill. Let's go with 555 and opacity 40. The stroke will be linear, 1 pixel. Something like this. And the layer itself, it will have 20% opacity. Now let's make sure it has the similar padding, 2020 on all the sides. The next thing we need here is our moving element. The moving element will consist of the base, and it will have an icon inside of it. I will make it blue. The stroke inside will have 2 pixels. It will be this type of gradient. And it will also have inner shadow to make it a bit darker from inside. Nice, let's create the icon for it. The icon will be very simple. And I will also create the second icon, which we'll need in this tutorial for an arrow. Remove this one, make it white and make it rounded. Alright, we have these 2 icons. We need to put both of them inside of the button in the same position. Let's make them both centered. And don't forget to rename the layers, because it's very important for the animation. If you have multiple layers with the same name, it might affect the animation and everything will be broken. Let's group it. Let's call it like this. At first, the arrow, it won't be visible and it will be slightly rotated and make it invisible. So only minus icon is visible right now. Another thing here is that this moving element should have some glowing. And for glowing we just simply use the drop shadow effect with these parameters. make it 40, and another drop shadow. This one will be almost fully visible. The last part here is the text inside the button. Let's give it a slight shadow effect. Alright, we have the first state of the button ready. Select everything, group it and call it button. Now we duplicate this one by holding Alt and Shift. We just drag it to here and let's make some changes. First of all, this button will have this element changed to green and it will be moving here like that. The text will move here. Let's change the text to subscribe. By the way, subscribe if you haven't done so yet. This guy will change to white. And we need to give it the inner shadow with the green light. The one that comes from above. And the one that comes from below. Inner shadow. Yep. Maybe let's make subscribe text a bit lighter. Another important thing is to change the layer name to text here and here, otherwise the animation will be broken. Now let's change the moving element. The minus icon will disappear, the arrow will appear and it will rotate. Now let's change the color of this thing. And of course the glow that this element makes, the drop shadow. One more thing we need is to add these two buttons into component set. So let's call it button default, and the green one is button hover. What I also want to do here is that the green button, when it's hovered, it slightly moves, like 2 pixels. And it loses some shadow because it makes a feeling that the button is pressed into the surface. Now all is left is to animate these buttons. So let's go to Prototype tab and drag the arrow here. The trigger is while hovering. We have Smart Animate here, and let's change it to slow with duration of 400 milliseconds. Now let's create another frame, pretending that it's our website, and simply copy-paste the button here. Let's run the prototype. Thumbs up if you like this tutorial. I'm sharing such things almost every week. See you soon here on my channel.